Very good morning, good noon to everyone. Namaste. It's been real pleasure here. Very powerful panel we have on the stage. I think this is going to be one of the best panel in the next 2 days that is going to come. Very interesting topic, I would say, right? If you look at the whole topic, it can be segregated into four horizontal, I would say. Micro credential itself and horizontal. Lifelong learning, it's another horizontal. And higher education is a large horizontal. And AI is also an horizontal, no more a technology, right? It's a lifestyle. It's like electricity, like a steam engine. AI is also a lifestyle. So four large horizontal is going to be next 45 minutes or so. So I don't want to take much time in setting the context because the topic is pretty clear. Micro credentials and lifelong learning in the AI era, impact of higher education. So I'll just give a very quick context, a very high level thoughts. Probably I'll throw a few words which will certainly set the context. When you talk about the micro credentials, I think three things comes to my mind. One is flexibility, second thing is scalability, and third thing is stackability, right? When I talk about the lifelong learning, I think the continuous skill development and recognition of prior learning, bridging the gap between education and academia, right? I mean, academia and the industry, that's the three top thing that comes to my mind. When I talk about the AI, I think the adaptive learning, personalized recommendations, intelligent tutoring system, these are the three top words that comes to my mind. I think when you hear these three topics from each of this horizontal, I think that's what the higher education framework is all made about. So let me begin this conversation with a very short introduction from each one of us, less than a minute about them and their institute, and then we'll get into three phases of this whole panel. First, to begin with, as Lakshmi sir suggested, we'll start with technology and impact of AI, and then we'll move on to micro lending, and then we'll see how do we blend the micro lending and lifelong learning along with the AI as an horizontal, and we'll also happy to take some questions from you. Okay, thank you panel, and I'll start from here to have a quick introduction about you and your company and your institution. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sunil Sood. I represent TimesPro. We are a company into the higher education space as an e-learning platform. We partner with major institutes like IITs, IIMs across the country. We also partner with skill development councils. We do train about 1 million plus people in the government skilling space. The interesting part for us today and with regards to this discussion is that the element of AI is embedded into each and every sector and each and every smallest element of learning. If you have to look at government and how government today looks at assessing e-learning, it's changed completely in the last 3 years. We look at how the stackable module works. You know, the government is completely going in a different direction, which is a very great, I would say a thought leadership element that has come in today is that how you can stack up from certificates to degrees, from degrees to diplomas, from diplomas to degrees and thereon. It's an element that is now affecting people at the school level right up to the post-graduation level. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Sunil.
I'll go next. Lakshmi Narayanan. I represent probably 3 institutions today. I think I'll take examples from that. First and foremost is the Chennai Mathematical Institute. I'm the managing trustee of that institute that develops students, most recently school students who won Maths Olympiad and Informatics Olympiad representing India were developed in Chennai Mathematical Institute, CMI. I'll talk a little bit about that. Second, I'll talk about IIT Madras's Pravartak, that micro credentialing, micro courses. They have an interesting concept that's been implemented. Third, I'll talk about KREA University, where I'm the Chancellor, which is trying a different type of education, which is a school for interwoven arts and science. This is an experiment that is 3 cohorts have passed out, an experiment that I'd like to talk about. And finally, I'm here because I'm the founder of ICTE Academy, one of the partners for this program.
Thank you, sir. Over to you.
I'm Bharat, Bhasker, representing IIM Ahmedabad. If you look at the technology, especially the AI technology coming in, and how it's altering the landscape of education. The fundamental issue is that how the industry is itself altering because of the AI. And then educational institute has to reflect that because we have to prepare people for that kind of industry. Fundamentally, you look at today, the AI has two aspects. One aspect is highly talked about, which is called generative AI, and it's coming in uh, discussion at business magazines to every aspect of the life. But the more deeper aspect of AI, which has affected the world for longer period of time, is a robotics and robotics related AI. And that is fundamentally changing the workplace environment itself. If you look at the Amazon's fulfillment center or any major warehouse where the fulfillment centers are there, the fulfillment centers are not really manned by human resources anymore. They are a hybrid fulfillment centers where all kind of robots as well as the human beings are working together. Now, there's an educational system has to cater to this kind of a working environment. How to optimize the maximum productivity? How do we create efficiency in this kind of environment? The fundamental education systems which are based on humans doing things are alternating. Second application, you can look at it like any car manufacturing, especially BMWs and Mercedes manufacturing units. Robots were used for a long period of time. The robots which were there were in a caged environment because they were large robots with a fixed capability doing heavy duty work. Humans were not allowed to walk into that area when robots are in operation. So traditional manufacturing plants looked of that nature, they're segregated area where humans will do the work and there's a robotic led area where robots will do the work. That created, as per the assembly line mechanism or a mass production mechanism, the mechanism for producing standard products. The product has to have same kind of standards because they could manufacture only one kind of things. Today, these manufacturing plants don't look exactly same. Actually, you have humans and robots intermingled in the assembly line working together. For example, in a BMW factory, a gearbox assembly line, actually you see a human being preparing the gearbox assembly. The gearbox, which is about 8 to 10 kgs, is picked up by a robot, fitted in there while the human being is preparing another assembly for the manufacturing and so on. Now look at these robots, they don't collide with human beings. They are self-aware robots. They learn the human behavior, adjust accordingly, unlike the traditional robots which would not adjust, they'll continue to operate at a fixed speed. They're adaptable robots, learning of the human behavior, they continue to proceed along with that. What it offers to the society? What it offers to society is a new kind of manufacturing which we're accustomed to, which is called customized manufacturing. I can have a car or I can have any product which has components which are highly customized as per the customer order, as well as the quality being maintained of the what the standard assembly line provided you. With that kind of a manufacturing environment, the workplace is constantly changing. Now, education system has to bring in, so one of the biggest use of the technology in the manufacturing sector, in the fulfillment sector, services sector, or I could say all kind of industrial scale, has given the opportunity for education system to also to adjust. And that's why higher education has to adapt, adjust its course offerings to meet the technology. And that means they themselves have to become AI enabled, or laboratories have to become robotics enabled, so the students can learn and be ready to fit in that kind of environment.
Thank you, Professor. I mean, you set the context well. We will go with Professor from IIT Gandhinagar, Director.
This is Professor Rajat Moona, Director of IIT Gandhinagar. I think today's topic of panel is very interesting, as is pointed out. Looking at things like micro-credentials and AI together, it actually provides abilities to be, for example, one of the major enabling factors that I see because of micro-credentials is two universities can come together, collaborate, and offer a joint degree program. In fact, multiple universities can come together and do that. Using AI techniques and all that, which are now fairly mature, one can do various kinds of assessments and all that. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor.
Hello, I am Dr. Rajul Gajjar, Vice Chancellor of Gujarat Technological University. So, as already mentioned, I represent about 4.5 lakh students in the professional education across the state of Gujarat with about 386 institutions. So, bringing in micro credentials is something phenomenal. It is going to be a game changer. We have at GTU, we have already put in the multiple entry exit framework. Now that exit at whatever point they want to do has to be with certain micro credentials. So it's a loop that needs to be completed. The industry needs to look at those credentials. The industry needs to adopt that, yes, we will accept these kinds of credentials. So it's a very interesting phase, especially in the benefit of the students, because the traditional learning along with all these new technologies can be incorporated very, very well. Talking of AI, as Dr. Moona has already mentioned, it's all about, to me, all along, I was mentally in my mind, I had always resisted the term slow learners, fast learners. It was all about giving the time and space and the pace to the learner. At whatever time, in whatever direction, personalized learning, they have certain interests, they will go ahead. And that is where AI is very much needed. So bringing AI into the systems of evaluation, of teaching learning, of examinations is the what I really, really look forward to. And we can continue with the conversation.
Thank you, Professor. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good morning. I am Prateek Sharma. I am representing Delhi Technological University, more popularly known as Delhi College of Engineering. And it's a more than 80 years old institution, primarily doing pioneering work in the area of engineering and technology for the last 8 decades. In fact, I look forward to this discussion very actively and eagerly, because micro-credentials, I consider, especially in the context of lifelong learning, as a nano degree, because it basically enables and provides an opportunity for customized short-term training programs, which can be credit, non-credit, and also enhances the knowledge of, not even of the students, which make them, industry ready, but also gives an opportunity for the trainers to learn on the job and learn while basically teaching what is the rapidly changing scenario in the context of especially the emerging technologies like AI, and imparting self-learning and also providing that kind of a knowledge to the students also. So I would not add to what other speakers have already mentioned.
Thank you, Professor.
So much.
And to introduce about me, I'm Bala MS, Balasubramaniam. I've been a CXO for a few multinational companies, including Dun & Bradstreet, TransUnion, Higher One. I was a CEO of Blackboard in the past. So I'm the founding partner for an accelerator called Turbostart. We've invested in about 70 startups with about $60 million funds in India, Singapore, Dubai, and US. And I'm also the chairman of IIIT Shri City and also the deputy chairman of Ministry of Education. So let me start with Lakshmi sir, because he has told about his 5 hats. He didn't talk about his 6th hat. He was the executive vice chairman of Cognizant, and he was an industry stalwart in the IT industry. So he didn't mention that, but I would like to begin this discussion from him. How do you see the technology playing a vital role in higher education in terms of adoption, pre-COVID and post-COVID, sir? A lot of changes happened. The digital transformation has been evidenced in the higher education, across education, I would say. But with especially to higher education, how do you see the technology adoption and acceptance in the last 5-6 years?
Thank you, Bala. So thank you for bringing out my past. One of the things that people or the elders who coached me, mentored me, used to tell me that you can't live in your past glories. You have to keep doing something new. What have you done new today? What is it that people would respect you for? So I usually don't talk about my past, try and talk about what I'm doing now. So if I'll combine what is the role of technology in education, role of AI technology specifically, and I'll try and be as brief as possible, picking some examples very specifically and see if I can build a story around that. I'll start with school students. School students who are particularly interested in specific areas. In my case, it was information technology or programming and mathematics. Mathematics and programming and computer science go hand in hand. One cannot exist without the other if you want to really make a mark as a researcher in that particular area. Now, every year, International Olympiad is conducted in the area of mathematics and other sciences too, but mathematics is something that India has been participating, and in programming languages, it's called the International Informatic Olympiad. We've been participating in that for the last several years, but have not been so successful as in the last 3 years. In the last 3 years, both the women that were selected and the men or the boys, these are all under 17 years, they're all still in school. We are allowed to select only 4 students and send only 4 students. The last 2 events happened in Cairo and Budapest. 4 students were sent, 4 boys and 4 girls. All 4 returned with medals, gold medal, silver medal, and bronze medals. It's a fantastic story that happened in the last 3 years, and this year, as we speak, a team is going there. What changed in the last 3 years compared to what was happening in the past was 2 major things. One is encouraging them to learn on their own by providing them tools. We'll talk about what kind of tools. And 2, the assessment. Assessment of how well you have learned a particular topic or the concept. The traditional methods of tests and assessments are going away, and it is being replaced by what we call challenges. These are open-ended problems, conjectures in mathematics that you're expected to find a proof to, and things of that nature, where the students can work independently or together in a group and conceptually understand a particular area, whether it's in an area of, in the case of mathematics, geometric algebra or number theory, or in the case of programming in specific context, and get to that particular area and be challenged. The people who qualify in those challenges are the ones that are picked, and those are the ones who are winning the medals. And what are the tools that are available for them to learn during these challenges? All the tools that are there, ChatGPT, AI, programming tools, etc. So they are learning, self-learning, and challenge as an assessment. Now, if we get to the next stage, what do these students do? A student who participated in the Olympiad about 3 years back is now a second-year student in IIT Bombay. He came to one of the institutions in Chennai for his project work. He was designing a circuit, a configuration script is something that he had to develop. Got stuck. He asked the people who knew about the tool that he was using. They said, I don't know, here is a 750-page manual about that particular product. So he asked, is there a digital version of that that's available? Use the digital version of that manual, that user manual, got ChatGPT, AI, the machine learning algorithm to work on it, learn it. In 10 seconds, he got the answer for the problem that he was working on. So the preparation that happened for him during the mathematics courses helped him to use AI in a productive manner. And the last point that I want to mention, where the technology is something that is very, very important, is what Professor Bhasker mentioned about combination of machines and human being, robotics and human beings, AI and human beings. So there is a new discipline. There is a professor in Professor Joseph Ivan in Northeastern University who's written a book about it, and he talks about a new pedagogy. He calls it humanics, where people and machines work together in a very, very collaborative manner, in the manner that Professor Bhasker was describing, not just in the manufacturing area, but also in the services area, where some of those algorithmic quant techniques are actually being put to use in the financial services sector. And the last point, very briefly, is about, I mentioned IIT Pravartak. IIT Madras's Pravartak has something like 1,500, 2,000 micro courses. If you want to learn about BFSI, banking, financial services, insurance, there's a module. If you want to learn about a programming language, it's there. If you want to learn about fluid dynamics, it's there. These are all micro credentials. You learn, you're tested, and then the important thing is what Bala mentioned. They're flexible, you can learn at your time, stackable. You can build one on top of the other. You can pick up courses and build your career and get your credit or courses. So as we speak, some of these are available. The ability of what we have to focus on is to scale it across larger piece of institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's been very helpful. So I'd like to move to Professor Dr. Moona. So what kind of AI transformation have you seen in your organization, your institution? Being IIT Gujarat, so what kind of transformation that you are getting evidenced in terms of across the stacks in your institution?
I think I'll probably go even more fundamental than this. See, if you actually consider a human being as a system, then what is the knowledge? Knowledge is basically acquiring things through various inputs, looking at it, listening at it, feeling it, and all that, and gathering intelligence out of it, processing and storing it in the brain. And then subsequently using that prior knowledge, repeating it, again using pushing or whatever your output mechanisms, speech or whatever, one can actually say this. And now, if I look at AI, is actually solving exactly the same thing. It's a little bit different, and that's why we call it intelligence. Even though the processing side is not equivalent to intelligence, but if you look at AI, what does it do? It actually can take inputs which is text, it can take input which is speech, it can take input which is images, it can take input which is movies, and it can process them and get the intelligence out of it. That processing part is something that we don't need to really talk about, because basically mathematical or computer processing, but then gets the intelligence out of it, and then using that intelligence sometime later do something about it. Now, generative AI, for example, is a very classic example where this intelligence has been drawn from text and image and movies, putting all across everywhere, and then now getting that and using it to give an answer to a question, to give an answer to a particular query, or to generate various kinds of images and all that. Now, what have we been able to do? I think at IIT Gandhinagar, we recently introduced a program on AI. So we are one of those pioneering institutions which instituted AI program, all cutting across BTech, MTech, PhD and all that. And we really needed to look at what we can do. So there are various aspects that came in immediately. First, AI is used in everywhere in engineering, and I think Prof. Bhasker talked about one very classic example of robotics. Okay, I mean, this, for example, will have a mechanism to reduce the warehouse spacing in FMCG, for example, or removing these stores altogether where one has to go and shop around, because unnecessarily there's a space that is occupied by aisles and all that where people have to move around. Robots can actually go in much deeper and much higher and all that. You don't have to really do 4-meter high warehouse. You can actually do 20-meter high warehouse, and robot can actually pick out items from whichever place. So that is actually a very, very dense store warehouse one can make. Now, in a similar way, in our systems, we can actually do many more things based on AI. Okay, and that is what actually we are doing. In AI, in engineering, we talked about. AI in logistics, we talked about. AI in education is yet another thing. And I think post-COVID, it became even more important. We needed to do exam in unproctored manner. We needed to do, assessment, saying what a student learned, and, tell him again and again the same thing. Again, when the contact is not there, you don't know what is he learning. So needed to do AI, and various kinds of different forms of AI actually came in. And I think that is exactly what is happening even today. We have been using AI in implementing various such techniques in variety of different things, in mechanical engineering, civil engineering, in physics, in materials, and of course, computer science. So I think I will stop at this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Let me shift to Mr. Sunil. Coming from TimesPro, you would have done a lot of surveys, a lot of researchers. You work with multiple higher education institutions. So where do you see, I mean, AI is enabling the personalized experience, right? So when you see that, of course, the lifelong learning, micro-credential, everything getting into place, but where do you see the adaptive learning and where do you see personalized recommendation getting into place? Have you come across several use cases working with different institutions?
I think a number of use cases. In fact, a lot of institutes of fellow panelists are using adaptive learning, right? And it's a very, niche area when it started out, but today the acceptance at the student level has increased. The acceptance at the institute and faculty level has also tremendously gone up. If I have to talk about understanding the gap that a learner has, adaptive learning is catering to that. Earlier, we had a faculty that entered a session, delivered a lecture, and moved out. Today, students are able to assess themselves, reassess themselves. The software can actually tell them the skills that they are lacking. So where we have to get somebody on par, the software actually feeds into it. This is also, layered in with proctoring. And while earlier proctoring was only an assessment service, today proctoring is actually indicative in nature. So it doesn't tell you that you scored 80 out of 100. It tells you these are the elements that you lack that you can go up to an 80 out of 100. So these elements, I think, are building up as we move forward. And a number of Indian institutes have taken the lead. And I think that's a thing to be proud of.
Thank you, Sunil. If you look at the overall trend, my dear friends, the industry's expectation, I would say, more from employability to deployability today. Train and hire concept have gone. Now it is like, hire and train has gone. Now it is train and hire. Volume hiring has gone. Today it is a value hiring. So total trend shift is happening across the industry, especially with the digital transformation that we've been seeing last 3-4 years. In that aspect, when you talk about the lifelong learning and micro credentials, I have the question to Professor Dr. Prateek. Sir, can you quickly articulate how this micro credentials differ from a traditional degrees and what is the acceptance level with the higher education institutions like Delhi University? And you can share your experience and thoughts on that.
Yeah. As I mentioned in my initial remark also, typically, the conventional degree, whether it is an undergraduate BTech degree or a master's degree MTech, it has its own rigidity. In terms of it is more of a static in character, in the sense that, obviously there are certain guidelines for the review of the academic programs spread over 4 years and 2 years and all. But obviously, the dynamically changing field, especially in the context of emerging technologies like AI and other things, in which, we can't actually have in a static manner, introduce a permanent course, so to say, within quotes, in the academic curriculum. So obviously, in that case, the micro credentials comes to rescue. So that, obviously, we are also exploring possibilities of, just naming in the curriculum as industry micro credentials, which can be customized for we keep it within the curriculum and fix that as a industry credential, a micro credential, in order to actually, add dynamically changing requirements as depending on the discipline, for example. And mind you, this is not specific to, say, for example, IT related fields. As Professor Moona also mentioned, it cuts across civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, which are basically conventional engineering branches. So it has to have, within the conventional framework, some aspects of micro credentials, which I consider to be nano degrees. That is how it has to be, done. And in fact, I would just simply, it is in the context of the undergraduates, but I believe IIMs, especially IIM Calcutta and Ahmedabad, have, the concept of executive education by introducing, short-term training programs ranging from 1 week to almost a year. Has basically already, these aspects have been factored already in. So this aspect needs to be basically incorporated in the regular academic degree programs. So that is what basically we are trying to do.
Thank you, Dr. Prateek. That's helpful. Follow-up question to Professor Dr. Rajul, madam. In your Gujarat Technology University, more than 400,000 students are there, a lot of institutions are there. So, madam, can you just share some of the successful micro-credentials programs that you have seen in the GTU?
Yeah, so in continuation with Dr. Prateek, we have put in a basket and we keep on adding to that basket as per the industry need, these micro credentials. They can be for the students for whom also we have put in the regular curriculum a few credits. So if they take those, they get those credits. They can be taken by students as add-ons beyond their credits for their industry readiness, for their professional learning. They can be taken by working professionals also. So it is on an open platform where the industry can also come, that we want to train a few of our very niche area people to reskill or upskill them. So this is an open basket, and we are also working towards more and more universities, IITs, IIMs, so that why reinvent the wheel? If they are offering, we can club together that they can be counted as ours, or what basket we are offering can be taken over. So it's a very, very dynamic and very exciting time. I wish that I were a student in these times. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor. A question to Professor Dr. Bharat Bhasker, and I'm Ahmedabad being a top management institute, having an executive program for a long time, many decades, couple of decades more. What kind of what kind of infrastructure that you think it is needed in terms of delivery, assessment, and managing the micro credentials? So can you share your experience about the institution?
The infrastructure requirement is also evolving infrastructure requirement. So before I get into infrastructure requirement, I will pick up the point Prateek already made, that IIMs have been actually the torchbearer of micro-credentials. In fact, actually, you look at the history of IIM Ahmedabad. IIM Ahmedabad did not produce MBAs or postgraduate diploma in management program as the first program. In 61, we were founded. Till 64, we did not admit a single student. We started with the basic idea that industry needs to be upgraded. And the only way you can upgrade the industry and make a quick impact of institute is by offering them capabilities in form of what we call micro-credentials today. We used to call them short modules of enablement, right? Which is what later on now known as commonly MDP or executive education programs. We designed 3-tier program, a module, micro-credential module for CXO level, micro-credential module for senior management level, and micro-credential modules for the middle management level. And for first 3 years in industry, we worked with only these programs. Then in 64, we launched our first master's program or a postgraduate diploma program. And we are known for postgraduate diploma program, but we at heart always focus on our micro-credential programs. Even today, if you look at the number of people we have graduated, last year itself, we gave micro-credentials to 10,000 participants. In a physical mode, I'm talking about, right? Some of the graduates who are actually CEOs and making mark in the world is for our micro-credential program. We used to run 3-month program called MEP. It's one of the very famous programs. We have discontinued or we have launched it in a different format altogether now. Because of the use of technology, you can reach out to more people. We used to admit only about 35 people. Actually, President of Mozambique is also calls himself alumni. And when I checked with him, he wasn't alumni of my PGDM, he was an alumni of my MEP program. So there's a huge impact and history of doing micro-credentials for us. We also do mini-credentials, meaning that creating a sequence of these programs will offer you a combined higher level degree and admit you as an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. So if you do so many days and so many hours and so many sequences of programs, you become an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. That is our model. What has changed with the technology and the infrastructure requirement? Their infrastructure requirement was physical infrastructure requirement. You required all kinds of things, and that's why the participant numbers are limited, and we have been able to scale up only to 10,000 people. But because of the use of technology, in May 23, almost only a year earlier, we launched what we call our new portal called Online at IMA. Online at IMA, we have already put together 8 courses there, which are all nothing but micro-credential courses. We have added this month itself 2, and by this year end, probably will be about 20 to 25 courses available on our micro-credential portal. In 1 year, we have already given that education to more than 6 lakh people. So from 10,000 1 year, we have been able to scale up to 10,000 people. Of course, we require the infrastructure, but that is the infrastructure in a cloud. We have created a cloud, exactly what Coursera and edX are doing. We are also using the same kind of platform. We have created a platform. Scalability is very high. Of course, you need to have a good quality content, good quality of administration of that program, also a phone line or whatever, a backup help capability, etc. So we decided to create on our own. Actually, one of the first programs before we put our program on online at IMA, we shared one program with the Coursera. It broke all the records, right? Even Coursera talks about IIM Ahmedabad's single program, which got more than 2.5 lakh participants immediately into it. So today, with the use of technology, we can reach out to people, and what I call, I've been using the word called democratization of management education. IIM Ahmedabad was not accessible to masses. Today, we are accessible to masses. I would also say, in a Coursera model, similar kind of a model, or all online micro-credential model, we offer it all free of cost. Only if you want a certificate from IIM Ahmedabad, pay 2,500 rupees. But education is for free, you can learn. But if you want the micro-credential certificate, you pay for the certificate part and take little online exam to be certified that you have really learned and gone through the course, right? So that is the impact of micro-credentials mechanism, and that's the need of technology. Is not something which is not available, it's available to one and all, is the content creation ability and the value of the content which you're going to offer on these sites.
Thank you, Professor. Well articulated. So in the interest of time, we need to shorten the conversation, but I cannot end the conversation without touching upon the industry academia collaboration, and that's been always the talk of any conference for that matter with respect to EdTech. So as very short statistics, 72% of the employers are more likely to hire a candidate with micro-credential. And about 88% of the employer agree that professional certificates strengthen the candidate application. 77% of the employers are already using or exploring skill-based learning. Always been talking about skilling, reskilling. So my question to Mr. Lakshmi as well as Sunil, in a very short way, how do the employers view micro-credentials compared to the traditional degrees? Are there any specific sectors where micro-credentials are preferred over traditional degrees? And where do you think the industry's acceptance towards the micro-credentials?
Yeah, I mean, I would go to the extent of saying that the industry is driving micro-credentialing. The rate at which technology is changing, new products and services are coming, it is not possible for all of that to permeate into the educational institution and expect students to come with those qualifications. Particularly for those working professionals, if they have to update themselves, if they want to upskill themselves, the only choice that they have is micro-credentialing. Learning online. So industry has driven these type of micro programs, micro courses. The most popular ones, the first and the most well-known one is something that NASSCOM, the industry body, promoted. That's completely online, technology driven. It's called the Future Skills Program. Future Skills Program is something where the millions of people who are working in the industry suddenly, from being digital native, you have to become AI native. Where do they go about learning what can be done with AI? Micro-credentialing or taking these courses is the only way. And these courses are available from different sources. It can be from institutions in India. It can be from institutions outside India, MIT, Harvard. You pick the course and credential yourself, and the industry will take it. In fact, there are certain companies, particularly the banks, have very specifically started saying, in the course of your career, we would expect you to do these type of courses in order to have a path on your career ladder. So that's where the industry academic collaboration is becoming strong. The area where it has to get a little stronger is in the area of research, in terms of getting new ideas, new innovation, new knowledge. That's an area that the industry and the academia have started to collaborate, but not as much as they are in the other areas in terms of skilling and training. So that's work in progress, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Sunil, your views?
From a L&D point of view, and we connect with roughly about 200 L&D leaders in a year, knowledge today has a shelf life. Our parents were educated and then they retired with that knowledge. Today, companies are looking at a knowledge shelf life of about 5 years. So upskilling is not optional anymore. It's a necessity. The second is with micro credentials, it has a win-win for the participant and the company. You know, sir just mentioned that you can get a credential, certified credential for 2,500 rupees. In the context of IIM Ahmedabad, where lakhs of students, millions have not gotten into that institute. Millions would not have access to that quality of education ever. Today, both e-learning and micro-credentials are making it possible. Where we need to go next is that everybody is giving micro-credentials. When do we start open-heartedly accepting them back to a larger degree, to a larger outcome?
Yeah, sure.
Just to make one more point, it's not just important for the students, it's even more important for the faculty in all the colleges to go through, learn, and get themselves credentialed in the latest technologies.
As Mr. Lakshmi mentioned, yesterday I was meeting with Higher Education Secretary, particularly to design an industry-led curriculum involved by the industry leaders and senior academicians for all the triple ITs, NITs and IITs for a 3 days intensive hands-on workshop, which ministry is designing. I've been part of it, so in align to whatever you said. So before I have a very interesting rapid fire questions to all of them, so surprise questions. So any questions from the audience, I would like to be fair, give a fair chance to the audience sitting here, although the time is short, at least we can take a couple of questions. You can address it to the entire panel or any specific person. Is there any questions? Oh yeah, can you just pass on the mic, please? Be very short. Maybe your name and your institution, and quickly go ahead with shoot the question.
Good afternoon to all. It's a matter of great pleasure to be here. I am Dr. Bharat from the Directorate of Education, presently working as lecturer in English in Sarvodaya Bal Vidyalaya number 2, Gandhinagar. My question is that it is common to all, maybe answerable by anyone, that we are having very good ideas. We are going to express our ideas in a logical way, in a systematic way, but there should be proper circulation of the ideas through the medias or as well as through the audio-visual aids or any print media or electronic media, because most of the time the ideas, they are limited to the venues wherever the programs are being conducted. Why it is not going to be open to all in order to have more clarity of the ideas? Because the purpose of the education is not limited to one conference hall, to one room, or wherever the program is going. Most of the time, the people who are in need of the ideas, they are not going to get benefit whatever we are caring and sharing, because education is a matter of caring and sharing. I think that it should be more popular in all ways. Thank you.
We didn't understand your question. You gave a thing, but probably you want to. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, very good point as to how these ideas spread in this open innovation world. Ideas can just travel freely. It's much better now, thanks to social media. If people sitting here or anywhere, if you can just tweet while the conference is going on, saying that this is an important idea that I learned, it at least reaches the followers that you have, and that's how it spreads. Social media is a very powerful tool for that.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you, sir.
I generally see success is a function of idea, opportunity, and implementation. Today, as Lakshmi talked about, social media or in general, the online mechanisms are actually letting the idea proliferate very rapidly. Okay, opportunities are available. I think the lack of implementation is where we have a problem, because often the person who has run a very good idea is not able to implement it, or many times doesn't even want to implement it. And that's where I think the success ends. Okay, so all the three aspects, three vectors, opportunity, idea, opportunity, and implementation, all the three have to be there together.
Thank you, Professor. Yeah, please go ahead.
My name is Abhishek, who I come from Future Technologies. My question for Professor Bhasker and Professor Moona. In this age of Gen Zs, where they don't stick to an organization for a longer amount of time, do you IITs and IIMs and in fact DTU collaborating on courses wherein, let's say a student can do 5 courses from IITs, 5 courses from IIM, 5 courses from DTU, and finally getting an engineering degree, let's say. Do you see that coming in the future?
It's already, the ingredients are already in place. NEP, National Education Policy, actually talks about it, academic bank of credits and all that, platforms and doing courses in other places and taking credit in other places and so on and so forth. Professor Bhasker already talked about micro-credentials. Education is democratized, but if you actually, do an exam, you get the credit for that in that place. So effectively, it is already happening in some sense. Several institutions have started this. IIT Madras runs a very successful BS program in data science and all that, and the credits for that are given in other places. If Swayam platform is available, so effectively these things are happening, and in time to come, right now in education it's always a cautious move. I think in time to come, it probably is going to have much more. Besides this, we also have many more collaborative programs with other institutions, other organizations. Joint degree program, part done here and part done there. Degree together, 2-degree program. Education is done one place, some part of the education is done some other place, and at the end, the student gets 2 degrees. One from this, one from that. So all these ingredients are already there, and it's not just limited to India. It is world over.
Thank you. So we'll go with you. Please add.
I just wanted to quickly add to that. This already, as he said, NEP is already enabling that. When I said May 23, we launched online at IMA, it's a foundation elements which you are building. Our micro credentials ultimately will add up to a asynchronous degree. Asynchronous degree may have many of our modules. We may also take some modules from other IIMs, other IITs if they fit into our MBA degree. So future, what I see 10 years down the line of IIMs or any management institute is not going to be the same. It's going to be a hybrid, more online, reaching out and producing hundreds and thousands of people rather than 10 to 15,000 which we are able to produce today. Right?
Yeah, please, madam. Yeah, we can.
So adding to this whole scenario, what we have been doing is that maybe MOOCs, maybe any micro-credential offered anywhere, provided of course we know the source, the students are given a fast track. So when they come to an elective basket, if they've already done that microcredit, they are given exemption. They can work on a project. They can go on a skills-based training to the industry. So this is already there into the curriculum starting semester 3, 4, 5.
Of course of music or liberal arts, and so it has to have that kind of a collaboration between, say, for example, School of Music of Delhi University and IIT Delhi, for example. So it has to be collaborative in nature, because independently as an institution, engineering institution, it is not possible to have courses related to music, for example, or sculpture, for example. So that kind of collaboration has to exist in times to come, and NEP provides that underpinnings of that collaboration.
In fact, Swayam plus is typical example where you can find. Okay, a quick rapid fire question. There is no right, wrong answer. Each one of you can take a second to answer. From Mr. Prateek, we'll have 2 rounds of rapid fire. Admission, placement, culture. You all can hold your mic. You have to immediately choose one answer. Admission, placement, culture.
Admission, placement, culture.
Any one you have to choose. What comes to your mind?
I would say culture.
Assessment, leadership, design thinking.
Design thinking.
Okay. Innovation, invention, curiosity.
Innovation.
Blackboard, hybrid, online.
Hybrid.
Criticism, creativity, feedback.
Creativity.
IQ, EQ, and EI.
EQ.
Awesome. Starting from you. Chewing gum, candy, chocolate.
Chocolate.
Awesome. Adaptive culture, risk-taking, fast decision-making.
Risk-taking.
Awesome. Identity, recognition, and appreciation.
Identity.
With you. Industry, academia, government.
Industry.
Awesome. Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
LinkedIn.
Awesome. Upskilling, reskilling, and lifelong learning.
Lifelong.
Put your hands together, my dear audience, for a wonderful panel today. Of course, all these 3-4 horizontals will need one whole day. But with 45 minutes, whatever best we could do, we have done. Thanks to Ravi Gupta ji and the Elets team of executives for making this. Wishing you all the very best for the rest of the 2 days. Jai Hind. Thank you.